real quick, if you haven't seen part 1 of this build, go check that video out and then come on back. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So last video, we went over how to build a base for this Farmhouse TV stand. This video, we're going to go over how to build the doors, add a top, paint it, stain it, and then show the final result. Stick around, I'll show you what it looks like. So starting where we left off, I made this little spacer so I could figure out how long I wanted the door to be. Once I hung it up on the rail, I realized I'm going to need a little bit of a spacer in between the frame and the barn door hardware, so that way my doors will slide smooth. So I grab a scrap 1x4, cut it down to size, and then I clamp it to the front of the TV stand. And then I attach the rail the same way I did before, marking the holes, pre-drilling, and then screwing them in. Now that I have the rail set up for the TV stand, it's time to do the doors. So now that I have the length, I grab some 1x2s, a piece of plywood cut down to size, and I attach everything together with brad nails and glue. I go ahead and sand everything before assembly. It's just going to make it a lot easier to get in all the small spaces. To attach the bottom and the top, I use the same method as I did for the sides. Only difference is I left this a little bit long. So this way I can come back and sand everything down flush so the door will be even on both sides. Once I have everything sanded down flush, it's time to put both doors together and set up for the design. So what I'm going to do is try to put a crossing X on both the doors, so when they're closed together it looks like one big X. The way I get all my angles for everything is I grab my combination square, I get a pencil and I mark the actual angle on the piece of wood. Then I take it to my miter saw, find the angle, and I'll inch up on the cut until I'm happy with the fit. Once I have everything down and like the way it looks, I'm going to attach it using brad nails and wood glue. And once the doors are finished, I put them on the TV stand just so I can get an idea of what it looks like. So to keep the doors from swinging away from the TV stand, I'm actually going to cut a groove in the bottom. This way I can attach a small rail at the bottom of the TV stand, and that way it'll keep everything aligned. And with that, I'm finished with the base. Now it's time to work on the top. So for the top, I'm going to use 2x8s cut down to size on my miter saw. Once I get everything cut down to size, I'm actually going to attempt to joint the edges on these boards. They're still pretty big, so they're a little heavy and awkward. So once I get one edge jointed, I flip the board over and I cut the round off on the other side. This way I can get boards that are straight as possible, making them easier to join together. Once I have the boards jointed on both faces, I set everything up so I can glue them all together. Now I will say this is probably the longest table I've glued together, so this was a bit of a task and I definitely needed more clamps for this. But in the end, everything got glued together. I did use pocket holes to hold everything together, which made a huge difference, but there were still some high spots, so I'm going to sand them down. So once the tabletop was set the way I liked it, I let it sit for about a day so that way the glue could dry. Once everything was dry, I moved it up to the front of my garage, grabbed my belt sander, and began to sand down the high spots. Once I had all the high spots sanded down the way I liked it, I grabbed my orbital sander, started at 80 grit, and moved all the way up to 220 until everything was smooth the way I wanted it. Once I had everything sanded, I grabbed my router and put a round over on both sides of the table. This way it'll take away the sharp edges. Once I finished, I grabbed my sander and I began sanding again. After the 2-day long process of getting everything sanded smooth, I finally take it back to the back of my garage and get it ready for finish. So I grab some mineral spirits and begin to wipe off all the dust. Once that dries, then I apply stain. The stain I'm going to use for this is Black Cherry by Rust-Oleum. I end up putting about 2 coats on it. I flood the surface with the first coat, wipe it off, let it dry, and then I apply the second coat. And if you guys are ever interested in any of the tools I use for the build, they're always going to be linked down below in the description. So while the stain is drying, I move the TV base outside so I can set up for paint. The paint I'm using is an interior semi-gloss paint made by Behr. I end up giving the TV stand about 2 coats of this paint for it to look really, really good. I let the stain dry for about 2 days, and then I came back and added 3 coats of Varathane's water-based polyurethane. I sanded in between each coat with 320 grit sandpaper. And there you have it, a Farmhouse TV stand. Now if you guys like videos like this, please like and subscribe so you never miss a video.